Kemi Badenoch's vow to reverse the so-called tractor tax serves as a striking statement in the battle over inheritance tax policies that touch at the heart of rural life and long-standing generational traditions. I was brought up very much in a farming community, and uh, and I was looking through pictures today and saw a lovely picture of a small Massey Ferguson, and it brought back lovely memories of learning how to drive a tractor. I've never learned how to drive a car, but I ploughed a very straight furrow. And Kemi Badenoch, I must say, I don't like Kemi Badenoch at all, but I warm to her support of the farmers. And her debut at Prime Minister's Questions offered a potent mix of political positioning and stark economics, and by calling the policy a cruel family farms tax, Badenoch sought to frame Labour's fiscal approach as an assault on the very fabric of rural communities. She's right, it threatens the continuity of family farms and stokes fears of an upheaval that might unravel generations of agricultural stability. Our country is based on our farms, and all I have to do is think back to the people that I knew when I was a child who'd gone to the farms in Lincolnshire as members of the land army, and they'd stayed because of their commitment to these family farms. The Labour-led inheritance tax reform, detailed in Rachel Reeves's recent budget, signals a strategic shift, aiming to widen the tax base, applying a 20% levy on agricultural and business property values exceeding £1 million starting in April 2026. And Starmer's confident rebuttal that the majority of farms will remain unaffected rests on the claim that only a small percentage, around 500 estates annually, would be touched by this change. Yet industry voices and opposition figures argue differently. The National Farmers Union and rural advocates see the policy as a misstep that could precipitate significant financial strain, pushing asset-rich but cash-poor farmers to sell off parcels of their land, thereby threatening food production and the economic ecosystem of rural Britain. We're already struggling because of Brexit. And before Brexit, we were struggling because of the European pressures on farming, the edicts, not least the cancellation of the East European migrant workers visa, which saw the decimation, the destruction of the bulb trade that I was brought up with. This inheritance tax, this debate, goes beyond mere fiscal policy. It's a political tinderbox that highlights how taxation intersects with social and economic sustainability, and supporters of the change argue that agricultural relief has historically benefited the wealthiest, including individuals and families disconnected from active farming. A recalibration of these benefits, they contend, could redirect funds towards public services and spur land use diversification, including renewable energy projects. Critics, however, emphasise that such policies may exacerbate mental health challenges in a sector already grappling with high suicide rates and economic precarity. Badenoch's defence, therefore, of farmers, paired with her wider calls for reversing perceived punitive tax measures, underscores her attempt to position the Conservative Party as the protector of traditional livelihoods. Yet the implications of this debate extend further. The potential for reduced investment in agricultural innovation, disruptions to tenant farmers, and a chilling effect on intergenerational farm transfers raise questions about the long-term resilience of the UK's agricultural landscape, barely surviving the upheavals of Brexit. As Badenoch champions the cause of rural Britain, juxtaposing her stance with Labour's approach, she wades into a complex dialogue about economic justice, land use, and national identity, and whether her promise to reverse this tax raid translates into tangible change, or whether she ever gets into power in number 10, I think that's highly unlikely, or remains another rhetorical flourish in the theatre of politics, that will be scrutinised closely by both her supporters and by sceptics within her party and beyond. But I think it is important to give the farmers and their tractors support, and I have every suspicion, every belief that the farmers and their tractors will be out in Trafalgar Square within months, days, weeks, as soon as possible.